Welcome to Wildly Curious, a podcast that tells you everything you need to know about nature and probably more than you wanted to know. I'm Laura.
I'm Katie, and this is the last episode of season 10?
10?
Yeah, 10 that we're in.
10?
Good. 10? Question mark? With my head cold, so I sound awful. But yeah, so we're not going to take technically a break. We're going to have another mini series that's going to be released every week through the month of December.
Yeah, kind of like this Cave Chronicles thing, like we're finishing with today.
Yeah, so we're going to finish Cave Chronicles today, and then we're going to go into just mini-series every week, and then we're going to pick up with the long episodes again in January. Mm-hmm. Do we want to tell them what the mini-series is? Since something we just decided?
Let's give a hint, but not actually say what it is.
Oh. Do you know a good hint for it?
Okay, our next
Besides
series
Scottish?
It does have to do with a habitat,
Okay.
and cool things found there. Cool things found in a unique.
I feel like it has the same vibe as a cave.
It totally does have the same vibe as a cave, but
So there's your
not
hints.
underground.
There's your hints.
Yeah,
there's your hints. It has the same vibe as a cave.
Same vibe.
I mean,
It truly
kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit
a
like
habitat.
creepy, spooky, cool, and cool stuff has been found there.
If you guys look at the descriptions of each of the podcast episodes, you'll see. Send us a text. Text us your guesses.
Do. Yeah. I want to know.
Please, because I'm so excited. Yeah, that'll be good. So we're going to wrap up the Cave Chronicles today. Laura's going to do it last one, because the last one we ended with before was Cheddar Man. Yeah, the Cheddar Man.
I heard really
Not
good
the
things
cheese.
from feedback about that one. From people who listened to it. They were like, wow, that was really good.
Yeah, Cheddar Man. You know.
Cheddar Man.
Cheddar Man.
That sounds so gross and creepy. Well, I'm kind of obsessed with this place, and this won't take long, guys. Again, it's a mini-sode, but I was like, all right, I need to find one more good cave thing, and there were several I could have chosen from, but I finally decided to go with the Son Doong cave in Vietnam.
Ooh.
I am obsessed with this place now. I need to go here. I was actually texting Katie, and I was like, listen, this is a totally affordable
I was gonna
trip.
ask, this is the one.
This is the one I was texting you. I was like, listen, we could literally like spend 5 solid days in the cave, or 4 days. 4 days in the cave. It's like $3,000. Totally.
How do you spell this one?
Son, S-O-N, which means mountain, and Doong for the name of the valley where an ethnic minority lives, and a river flows through it. So it's kind of like mountain cave that a river flows through.
Okay, cool. I've seen this.
This is a special one. Like, this has been in the news fairly recently because it's a pretty new cave.
Yeah.
I am literally I have been talking to everybody. Ask my people at work. They're like, oh yeah, we've heard about this one. I just go off. I'm like, guys, did you know? So this place is 2 to 3 million years old, which in the grand scheme of things is not that old geologically. Yeah. And so that's like the actual cave system. The dough lines, which basically are like giant skylights where the ground has collapsed and made these big holes in the ground, they likely formed about 500,000 years ago, which kind of opened up this cave system to sunlight. Okay. Before then, it was just all underground. Okay, so this cave was theoretically, it's said to have been found in 1990. Did indigenous peoples find it before then? Surely. But nobody talked about this cave until 1990. Oh. And it was discovered by accident by a local man. And he was going out in the it's like in the middle of the Vietnamese jungle in this giant forest preserve. And he found it by accident. He didn't actually grasp how large of the cave system he had found. He just sheltered there in a storm and then came back. And then word got out because there are 2 other very well-known caves in the area. And they're all part of, they're not connected, but they're all like part of the same rock formation kind of place.
Yeah.
And these British cave people, expedition team. British expedition team. It was a husband and a wife.
British cave people.
Cave people, yeah. They were like, I know there's got to be something else in this area because we got one on one end and one on the other. Surely something is connecting them. So then they started searching around and found this guy who was like, I actually think I know what you're talking about. So they found this cave. So the actual cave was not mapped until 2009, which is so recently. Yeah. And so they mapped this place in 2009, where it was then dubbed the world's largest cave. So by accident, you stumble upon only the world's largest cave.
Yeah, no big deal.
And this is not going to mean as much to our American listeners, but it is 385 million meters cubed in area.
Big is it?
385 million meters cubed.
Jeez.
It's huge. It is not the longest. Here in America, some of our American listeners might be like, but Mammoth Cave. That's the longest, guys. Not the largest.
But Mammoth Cave.
I guess it'd be more in like a Kentucky accent. Mammoth Cave. It's a great place. Been there. It's great. But it's the longest, not the largest by volume. This place is only 9 kilometers long, which is still a respectably long cave. But inside, everything is supersized because of how big it is. So
and it's just gorgeous too. That's the thing.
Dude, it is. Everyone who has been there that I was reading, it's basically Avatar on Earth in a way because of how large everything is.
Yeah.
And movies and like things have even been filmed there. So inside, these dough lines, these giant, like essentially like a sinkhole into the ground, the biggest one, the first one that you would enter into, is so large that it can fit a 40-story skyscraper can fit within this thing without coming out of the ground. 40 stories.
I don't think my brain
can fathom. You gotta see pictures to only even grasp because the people in it are so tiny.
That's what I'm saying. You can look at pictures, but I just don't think that it's like one of the things that you see the Grand Canyon for the first time.
And a Boeing 747 can fly through that section without its wings touching.
What?
So you know how many people can fit on a Boeing 7? Like that's the size scale we're talking.
That's nuts.
And in there is the world's tallest stalagmite. The tallest stalagmite. It's 80 meters tall because it's just dripping from this giant ceiling. And people stand on it. And you are like itty bitty tiny, and the sunlight is just beaming down on you. It is the most picturesque place. So that's just the first room. Then you continue on, and the place also happens to contain its own rainforest. Hence the whole Avatar thing.
See, that's my jam because I'd be like, micro ecosystem. I would be all about it.
So that room is called the Garden of Edam, Edam, and it's actually it's a joke because previously the largest cave was found in Malaysia just a few years before that, and they have a room in it called the Garden of Eden. So as a joke, they called this the Garden of Edam. Like, aha,
gotcha.
Anyway, inside this rainforest, there are mosses, ferns, flowers, and even skinny trees. And the trees are really freaky because they're about 40 to 50 meters tall, but itty bitty skinny because they've spent all their energy trying to reach the sunlight.
Up, yeah.
But they're not girthy, just long. And there's about 200 species of plants in this rainforest in the cave. Now, they're not necessarily endemic because this is open to the rest of the rainforest. But they do grow differently than elsewhere. And many animals visit the cave from the outside. Birds, bats, monkeys, snakes, and flying squirrels just yeeting down into this rainforest and going back out. But because it is its own little thing, there are endemic species, which means they're nowhere else. They've already found... What am I get the number right? 7. What? They found 7 new species there in that rainforest. They're all small, and they're cave-specific, like fish, wood lice, millipedes, spiders, and scorpions. And typically, they are like the pale, no eye kind of things.
Yeah, so nothing too cool yet. I mean,
not yet,
cool, whatever, right? But not like its own flying squirrel species.
Right. It's got to be something that can't get out of the cave to have evolved by itself down there. Yeah. So something that can't fly or climb. So... It'd be really cool if it was like a big mammal, but I guess it's got to rely on like would it get enough food?
Yeah,
like a sloth species, like its own. I don't know.
All right, Laura, we're going. The more I'm looking at pictures of this,
I'm telling you,
we're going.
So
awesome. We should invite Bill. Shout out to Bill.
If he's still, hopefully he's still.
If you haven't listened to our other cave episode, it's really funny. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then
otherwise you're lost.
Yeah.
Bill. Who's Bill? A river does flow through it, though the river is not fully mapped yet, which is awesome. They're still mapping it out. It has waterfalls in it, It creates its own mist, so the whole area in there is sometimes misty, and there's a giant lake that you can be in underground. Because it is so freakishly large, it has its own weather. So it's just you're on an alien planet. There's no other way to say it. Its temperature is around 22 to 25 degrees Celsius in the summer and 15 to 20 in the winter, which for everybody else out there, that just means it's about 8 to 12 degrees colder than outside. So it is always cooler in the cave.
Yeah. It's not bad.
There's a section that contains coral fossils that you can easily see because, of course, this whole place is made out of limestone, which is ancient Dead Sea creatures. And then there is this formation called the Great Wall of Vietnam. So this is where exploration stopped the very first time people went in because it is a giant flowstone formation, which is like... It was literally unsurpassable because they hadn't brought the equipment to do anything about that.
Yeah.
So it's a flowstone formation is from the dripping, all these, like all the crystals and all the formations like stalagmites have merged and it looks like a giant waterfall essentially. And it was so tall that they actually couldn't see the top. So they didn't even know how long they were going to have to climb. So they were like, we'll be back.
With an unknown amount of equipment.
Well, because it took them 2 days to climb it.
Dang.
Professionals.
And that's underground. That's what's insane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's not even, it's deep, but yeah. So the top can't be seen from the bottom. It took them 2 days to climb. And that's because it's not, like when I say 90 meters tall, that doesn't actually sound that tall, but because of the difficulty of what they're climbing.
Yes.
First of all, the reason they couldn't see the top is it goes up straight, vertical 25 meters, and then the rest of it is slanted so that they couldn't tell what goes beyond.
Yeah.
And then it just exits. Like, that's the end. You've made it. You've conquered the cave. Once you climb the wall, you're out.
Right. There's just a little hobbit up there with a medal.
Yeah,
here you go.
And so the underwater cave passages are still being mapped. They're doing some diving at this point because they haven't found the
no,
exit.
thank you.
No, absolutely
That's where
not.
I draw my line is cave diving.
100%.
Yeah. I will explore anything via ropes, climbing. Like
I can breathe my own element.
Yep. Like, nope, not diving in caves. Nope.
Way too dangerous and too creepy. And then last but not least, what makes this so amazing and so pristine and so wonderful is that only 1,000 guests are allowed in there per year. And it's only through one tour company. I found it. They're booked out for next year, but they got the next year after that free. 1,000 people per year. And this is a tour company. They do Vietnamese caving. Like that's their thing. They do the other two caves. You can actually tour the other two caves for $245. Because they're like day excursions. There's only one.
You can say dead excursion. I was like,
day. This place is so hard to get to and so physically demanding to trek through such a large area. You spend 2 nights in it. One under each skylight, like one in the rainforest and one in another place. And you take boats through it on the river. And it's a 6-day trip. 1 day there, trekking through the jungle, and then getting to the cave, and then in the cave for 4 days, and then trekking out of the jungle and going home. So, and it's $3,000, which in the grand scheme of things, like...
No, in the grand scheme of things, it's not bad for what you're getting.
And you're seeing pristine.
Yeah.
Nature's wonders. So
please support us on Patreon.
Please, listeners.
Send Laura and I to Vietnam.
Send us there.
But seriously, if anybody wants to donate to this cause, we will 100% put it towards it. And we will go.
In fact, I'll print you out as a cardboard cutout and bring you with us and take pictures.
Yes. Yes. All of the donors, if you guys donate towards Laura and I going to Vietnam, we will take a cardboard cutout of you to the caves. Yeah. Promise.
Like a tiny little flat Stanley versions of all of you.
Yes, of you.
You'll all be with us, listeners.
Yes.
If you help us go.
Yes, 100%. I have no problems doing that.
And it's only like $30 a day to travel in Vietnam because of the money situation. It's just getting there. It's the plane ticket and then that $3,000 tour. But boy, it'd be freaking epic.
That would be amazing.
To see a place. So, listeners, also, you must look up Doe Line 1 of the Son Doong Cave, which is giant sunbeams come in this entrance at certain times of year, and it is, man, oh man, like you could believe in magic or aliens or angels, something magical there.
Yeah.
And that is the Son Doong cave in Vietnam.
Yeah. Send Laura and I to Vietnam, please. That would be awesome.
And like I would gladly go visit some of the other caves we've talked about. Not all of them. I have no desire to go into that one that I talked about that's basically the pits of hell. You know that one?
Yeah.
No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, they would all be cool, but like this one is like
this one, yes, and the crystal one.
Please.
I need, just because again it's the scale, man. I want to feel tiny and insignificant like an insect. I want to see
this is the one to go to.
Things.
Wasn't the crystal one like really hot though and stuff?
Yeah, and it's no longer open to the public, so it's literally not impossible.
Yeah, but this one is possible. Send Laura and I to Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
It's just Laura and I.
I'm screaming that in the cave when I wake up in the morning. Everybody else on this poor tour is just, gosh, dang it.
I hate these two people. Americans.
Yeah.
We're just like,
I'm standing in the sunbeam. Good morning.
It's a cave. You wouldn't even need to say it that loud.
You're supposed to swim, like, and you're just by yourself. Dude, skinny dipping in a giant cave in the Vietnam wilderness. Yeah.
I'd have oh god.
And I would 100% be riding a water buffalo to and from said cave. Because that's on my bucket list.
That's an option?
I mean, we can make it, right? Like, that's how a lot of people get, water buffalo are from that area. They're very common transportation. Very reliable. I would really like to ride a water buffalo through the Vietnamese jungle.
To a cave.
To a cave that I'm going to live inside for a while. Like, I just can't even imagine.
No,
primordial wilderness. Other people are like, never. I would never want to do this, ever.
No, heck no.
Like, I was like, Justin, come on. And he was like, not in 1 million years would this be Justin's cup of tea. To trek through the Vietnamese. That's right. I said, well, that's why Katy exists. Yeah, right. And we do this like, I'm not asking really for you to come. Yeah, I'm saying I'm going and I need you to watch Laura. Like,
yeah, I'm requesting your babysitting services for our child right now. Like,
he would hate it. It would be no fun at all.
Gosh. The bats, though, for me, it would be like the bats.
Well, the whole rainforest. The other reason why the rainforest does so well is because of all the freaking guano.
Right? The bat, man. And that's a whole ecosystem I've never explored before. Like,
a cave rainforest? Of course you haven't.
No. Well, even just Asia in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've never been to Asia.
Yeah. Nor have I explored a cave
rainforest. Like, we've
done
a lot of things.
Send Laura and I to Vietnam, and and we will totally flat Stanley you and bring you along. This is something that we gotta make happen.
And we will be you guys can tune in next week. Thanks for a great season 10, everybody.
Check us out on Patreon. Send us your text messages with your guesses of what you think we're going to do for the mini-series. And then we will talk to you guys next season.
Bye, everybody.